What is up, guys? It's Crazy Pickle, bringing to you another episode for the Ultimate Beginner's Guide. Today we're gonna talk about how to reroll stats. So in the previous video, I was just talking about the stats, what each stat does, how it works, effects and stuff like that. So today we're gonna talk about rerolling the stats, and I will actually tell you the kind of a way how to reroll the stats a little bit more efficient. And this actually advice I got from Naughty Senpai. I did talk to him about it, and he gave me that you can talk about this way, it will definitely help out a lot. Definitely you can save pretty good amount of credits and get some stats that you need. So let's start it for the first thing, how to reroll stats. We're gonna open the bag, you're gonna go to the item upgrades, and you can see all the pieces at the top with the dot right next to it. It's the pieces that you equipped. So obviously the pieces you will equip, it will be the best possible pieces with a higher, better might, superiority, etc. So the first thing you should do, you choose the piece. Then you click the modification button. You can see a list of the stats that your piece already have, and what you need to do is just click the modification button. If you didn't lock any stat, it will be basic 20,000 credits. If you already have the stat that you need, for example main damage bonus, you're gonna lock that up. Just click on the stat, it will lock it, and it will increase the amount of credits, so it will be already 50,000 credits. And then you click modification button, and then actually I'm gonna do it now. So click the modification button, and then you will see the reroll in stat menu. It shows you the old stats, and then it shows you the new stats that you get, their value, and then if you can see as well the minimum value and the max value of the stat. And then it's up to you to decide to keep the old stats or save the new stats. If you got any of the stats that you don't need, you completely don't need it, like completely random stats, like for example for me here, then you're gonna keep the old stats. So you're just gonna keep the click the keep old stats and stuff like that. But if you got something like, for example, damage when combat starts, something like that, then you're gonna save the new stats. And then when you click the save new stats or keep the old stats, you're gonna have to click the modification button again. So this is the basic of how to do it. The more stats you lock, the amount of credits goes up. As you can see it right here. Obviously you're not gonna lock all of the 6 stats, but the 150k, it's the max number. So after the 4 stats locked, it's 150k per click. So that's how the basic way to reroll stats. Now you know how to reroll stats in a basic way, which is pretty good, pretty simple, nothing too crazy, just need the credits, the pieces of gear that you already, the best pieces of gear that you already equipped and stuff like that. So now let's actually talk about that more efficient way, how you would, improve and get, better stats in an efficient way and stuff like that. Again, we're gonna go back to that menu, we're gonna open the window item upgrade, and then what you need to do, let's say we're gonna start, from left to the right. Obviously ring, amulet, brooch, bracelet, and then gems of power. We're gonna start with the ring. What you're gonna do when you click the modification button, you go just for not more than 3 clicks, or at least not more than 4 clicks. It also depends how many stats you already got on a piece of gear. So if you got nothing on it, then of course 3 clicks, 4 clicks possibly, depends on the amount of credits you have, and see what stats you will get. If you already have a few stats, for example, you got main damage bonus and damage to elite, for example, and let's say damage when combat starts, right? So you're gonna have to click all the 3 stats to lock them, and of course the amount of credits goes up. You're gonna do about 3 clicks as well and see if you're gonna get like critical chance or damage to stun targets. Defense after healing, the third key stats on a mythical gear, it would be optional, I would say. The main one is damage to stun targets and damage when combat starts for the secondary stats. But if you, let's say, if you don't have the mythical piece of gear, you only have purple, you're not gonna have that third key stat. You're gonna only have 2, so you're gonna aim only for the damage when combat starts and damage to stun targets on the ring, amulet, brooch, and bracelet. So let's say you got these 3 stats, you do 3 clicks at least and see if you can get additional at least 1 stat. If you didn't get any stat on during those 3 clicks, then close the window and move on to the next piece. But again, if you're starting with 0 stats that you aiming for, then again 3 clicks, and if you say you got nothing, it could happen. If you got nothing that you need, close it, move on to the next piece. Click modification, again do the same thing, 2, 3, 4 clicks, see if you got anything. If you got 1 stat, lock it up. So let's say you got on the second click, you got another stat, 1 stat for example. You lock it up, you maybe do at least 1 or 2 clicks and see if you can get something else that you need. If you got, for those 2 clicks you got 1 or 2 additional stat, close it and move on to the next piece. Even if you didn't get anything on the second piece, again close it and then move on to the next piece, and just keep going and going. Do those 3 or 4 clicks max. Don't go over the board. Depends on the amount of credits you have. That way you will save up credits and you will get the more stats that you need, and obviously the bonus as well. So that would be the more efficient way, how to reroll stats without any additional, items, because you can choose the modifier here as well. So that's how you reroll in a more efficient way without any modifiers. Just 3 or 4 clicks, it's a max. Didn't get anything, move on to the next piece. Got 1, 2, 3 stats, close it. During those 3 or 4 clicks, if you got some kind of stats that you need, close it, move on to the next piece. You got an idea. If you still are confused and have any questions, leave the comment down below, let me know. I will definitely respond on the comment as soon as possible and explain it, at least in a more of a text way and stuff like that. So next move on to, what else you can use during the reroll in the stats. Of course, it's, it might be tough for the new players because you're definitely not gonna have those items in the beginning, but it's a possibility somehow you might have it. I don't know, but you can choose the modifier. So when you choose the modifier, you can choose sparks. There is a bunch of sparks you can use, not just sparks, but the rebirth flames. But rebirth flames is completely different. Is a new player, just don't worry about it at the moment. What I'm gonna talk about is just the 3 sparks that I use, because the rest of the sparks like evolution, perfection, luck, and superiority, I never use them. I don't know how they works. I know there is a description, but still I'm kind of confused. But I'm not gonna talk about it. I'm gonna just talk about those sparks that I use and I know they work, and it definitely help out me, save credits and get the stats that I need. I'm using Spark of Simplicity, Spark of Frugality, and Spark of Memory. So those 3 sparks I'm using during the reroll in the stats. So for example, let me close this. For example, next invasion comes in, right? It's gonna be generation 26 for the PC. So I'm gonna have to upgrade from Gen 25 to Gen 26. Of course, what I need to do, I have to get the next generation 26 set of gear, either purple, maybe lucky from equipment boxes, some mythical, but not. Let's go for the full purple set, generation 26. I got it. I'm gonna have to reroll the stats. Possibility that I will already have some stats on that purple gear that I need, so I'm definitely gonna click on it, lock it, and then reroll the stats the way I just told you. 3, 4 clicks, got something, didn't get anything, move on to the next piece. But what I'm gonna do during that time already, when I'm doing it, I'm gonna choose, first of all, I'm gonna choose Spark of Simplicity first. What Spark of Simplicity does, you can see it right here. You have a possibility to get bonus to main damage, bonus to critical damage, base damage is a main damage, bonus to critical damage, bonus to companions damage, you don't need, and general defense. General defense for the new players might actually help a little bit to survive, during whatever the mission you do, if you solo in, for example. But at least you can aim for like main damage bonus, critical damage bonus. So that's what you need, and obviously it only applies for the key stats. I'm gonna use that first. I'm gonna get, let's say, main damage bonus, critical damage bonus, critical chance or something like that. But again, I got those stats, I'm locked them up, and I can actually move on to the next piece. Because if I got it from those 3 or 4 clicks, what stats that I need, I move on to the next piece, do the same thing, click modifications, choose the spark. Here we go. Let's just pass a little bit forward. When I got all the stats that I need, for example, and since the Spark of Simplicity doesn't give me the damage to elites, obviously I'm gonna have to lock the stats that I got it. And let's say, for example, obviously I'm not gonna lock this because Mark of Simplicity doesn't apply for the key stats. And for example, I got damage when combat starts, right? But the other two is I didn't get it. Keep in mind that the purple set of gear not gonna have a third key secondary stat. Sorry, you're only gonna have 2 secondary stats, and you're gonna aim for damage when combat starts and damage to stun targets. And of course, for the gems of power, it's gonna be chain killing and damage to slow targets. It's slightly different. Click modification, click lock the main damage critical and this one right here. And then let's say I already did all of the sets like that, and then so I lock this up. And then what I can do as well, I can use the frugality. That way I can get the damage to elite or other 2 stats. And Spark of Frugality, the way it works, when you click the modification button, I'm just gonna click it right now, and I'm gonna click it. If I don't like the stats that I got, and if I keep the old stats, and pay attention right now on the right side of the screen, that I will get those 125,000 credits back when I'm gonna click the keep old stats. Obviously, if you click modification button and then you click save stats because you got something that you need, then obviously you're not gonna get stats, you lose a spark and you lose your credits. But that's how the frugality works, and that's what I would do for the rest of the stats that Simplicity doesn't apply in order to get. And again, 3-4 clicks, boom, move on to the next piece. 3-4 clicks, boom, move on to the next piece, and keep going, keep going, keep going. Try to save as many credits as possible, and then do the circle again, got the stats that you need. And the third stage of it, what you're gonna do is now you have to actually increase the value of the stat to the max number. And you can see it right here, the minimum is 4.8, 7.2 is the max for the critical chance. Let's say if it shows like either 4.8 or 5 or 6 or something like that, then obviously you're gonna have to increase that value to the max. And what the third part, what I use when I got all of the stats on the gear that I need, and for example, none of the stats are max value, I'm gonna use my Spark of Memory. When I click my Spark of Memory, I'm not gonna lock any stat because none of the stat is the max value. Then I click modification button and I will have a chance to keep my existing stats, and then, well, not a chance, I will keep my existing stats, but I will have a chance to bring those stats to the max value. It could take me 1 click, it could take me 2 or 3, but again, don't go over 4 clicks. 3 or 4 clicks, and then boom, move on to the next piece. When you, let's say, you used one time, right? You choose the Spark of Memory, you got 2 stats in the max value, for example, critical chance and damage to elite. You have to lock them up, choose the Spark of Memory again. So when you click modification, and then you got to the max value, of course you're gonna keep the save stats, keep the new stats and stuff like that, and then lock them up that got the max value, and then the rest of it is not maxed. You're gonna use the Spark of Memory and click modification button again and see if you got the max value of each stat. When you got it, perfect, move on to the next piece. Hopefully it's not too confusing. If you're still confused and you still have question about it, again, leave them in the comment section, guys. Leave them in the comment section. I will respond as soon as I can. Next, what we're moving on to is where you can get those sparks. There is a couple of ways you can get it. First way is we're gonna go to the abilities. Since we're right here, we're going to the companion abilities, and what you can get is a treasure hunter ability. Of course, it costs victor medals. For the new players, it might be pretty impossible for now to get it. I don't remember the price of that ability, probably about 13,000 victor medals, or possibly 20, so I don't remember. But during the Hall of Trophies sale, you can get it on sale. I would assume it should be already half off during that sale. But this is where you can get 1 or 2 Spark of Frugality, Perfection, Memory, Simplicity, Luck, Superiority, or Evolution. But it's a chance. What you need to do, you simply go to the region, and of course if you have the ability, you can do 12 treasures every day. But not only the sparks you can get from there, you can also get 20 marks of Assassin, Sage, Judge or King, which required to upgrade mythical gear Integrity. But that's gonna be a different probably video, maybe somehow I will bring that up in a specific video. And of course this treasure hunter will also give you a chance, small chance, but a chance to get 1 legendary add-up relics. So if you have the ability, run 12 treasures per day every day. Next, I'm gonna open the bag, and the next piece you can try to get, or if you can get, is the Sunny Prism. Of course, I think like 2,000 or 3,000 victory medals would cost the generation 7 piece. You know, for the new player, it doesn't really matter what generation it is, we're only aiming for the bonus from that artifact. And it says you have a chance to pulverize monsters into resources for upgrading equipment. Your finishing attack is replaced with the pulverizing, which makes it guaranteed result. Meaning you're not gonna only get the sparks, not only sparks, but you can get pure matter. It's also kind of about the gear and stuff, you know, and some other resources like marks of King, Judge and all that stuff. So it's small chance, small amount, like 1 or 2 and stuff like that, completely random as well. So but you can get it from there as well. And I think the last part is the 9 event. So 9 event, you can see it. So right now it has 2 different sparks. Evolution, don't care about it. Simplicity, here we go. So that's what we need as well. You can get it from there. Obviously you're gonna have to farm intelligence data, definitely gonna use some credits for it, and then go through the page to see if you can get it up there. But you can also get the sparks completely randomly, because it's a bunch of rewards as well. When you click the send, you know, you can see the timer right here, and when the timer is over, I'm just gonna accelerate it. You have a chance to get those sparks from the reward as well when they return. So and then you click accept, you got it. For example, it's Spark of Frugality, for example. So, but you have a chance to get it from there as well. And I think that's all the places, at least that I know of, that you can get those sparks. And I think that's pretty much all for this video, guys. So I did show what's the full DPS of gear or stats I'm using for my full DPS. And you know, I know somebody mentioned in one of the video, actually in a previous video, that some of the new players, you know, might have troubles even with the full DPS stat, you know, to kind of go through missions and stuff like that, you know, but because they're still not strong enough, not a lot of might, you know, not a lot of extra bonuses and stuff like that. But what you can do is actually, for example, you can throw the general defense stat on some of the pieces gear if you really wanted to. So obviously general defense, it's all your defense from any attack, any monsters and stuff like that. If you really want to do that, you know, kind of little balance it out to, you know, like 50-50, half DPS, half defense, it's perfectly fine, you know, as long as you can do missions, whatever, solo, not solo, with the group, etc. It still works, you know. Obviously it's a balance kind of set, and you're not gonna deal as much damage as a full DPS setup, but still pretty good, you know. Your survivability and damage is fine, stuff like that. As long as mission's doable, you're fine with it, you're happy, that's all that matters. And I think, guys, that's all for this video. I hope you liked it, you know. I hope it's not too confusing. If you have a lot of questions, leave them in the comments down below. I will respond as soon as possible. And as always, if you like this video, smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe, because about 80% of you guys who's watching my videos are not subscribed. I would really appreciate it. And again, you can follow me on Twitter, Mixer, join my Discord server. All the links you can find in the description. And until the next time, take care.